Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at dyno testing and installing the Edge Pulsar inline tuning module available for the 2019 and newer 5.7 liter Hemi-equipped Ram 1500s. Now before we jump into all the details of the device itself in my hand here, which is pretty different than your regular handheld tuner, I want to take you guys right on over to the graph here because we did do a stock baseline and compared it to an after run with this guy installed on our highest setting. So what do you say we take a look at the results? So we strapped our 2019 5.7 liter Hemi Ram 1500 down to the dyno. We did run it in 4th gear. 6th is the 1-to-1 ratio, so you'd run it in 5th, which would hit a speed limiter. So we ran it in 4th to get a really clean pull. We do have 33-inch all-terrain tires on our truck here, full disclosure. We ran it to get a stock baseline with our factory ECU, no Edge Pulsar installed, and we walked away with 285 horsepower, 286 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels. Again, running in 4th nets you a little bit lower power than you would expect in a 5th gear or a 6th gear, but we didn't want to run into the limiters and get a clean pull. So we ran it in 4th, so numbers are a bit lower. We ran it under the exact same conditions with our Edge Pulsar unit installed on our ECU under the hood. We ran it in the Performance MDS off mode. Now, of course, you can get different results in different modes, but level 8 being the highest level is Performance MDS. We ran it again under the same conditions, walked away with 310 horsepower, 334 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels. That's good for peak gains of 25 horsepower and 48 torque. Now, those are really impressive numbers for just kind of a plug-and-play unit. There was no custom tuning required, no back and forth with revisions. It's really that plug-and-play unit, and it's netting pretty good power in 4th gear. And under the curve, we're seeing more impressive gains at the low to mid range. Under the curve for horsepower, we walked away with 51 horsepower at about 4,000 RPMs. And under the curve for torque, we walked away with 62 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels. That's coming at around 3.6K RPMs. Now that's pretty impressive. Those are power gains you're gonna feel. 4th gear is netting us really good results, and again, that may differ depending on different environments, and it may differ, of course, depending on the gear. In 5th gear, you'd see a little bit of a higher number, maybe a difference in the amount of peak gains, but with that said, nonetheless, important gains from Edge Pulsar. Now, as you just saw, pretty notable results here with the Edge Pulsar installed, but let's talk about the details of what makes this thing tick. Now, as you can see, very different than a typical handheld tuner that you would see out there like a RevX or an X4 tuner. This guy is an inline module. What that basically means is it's going to install directly to the side of your PCM or ECU under the hood. It's not something that you're going to hold in your hand in the cabin when you're driving to make your changes for the parameters. This is something that you'll install directly to the PCM, and again, it is pretty simple. It's really easily accessible right next to your battery. Now, what this is basically going to do is put a little block between the PCM and the connectors, replacing it with a module that'll take over some of the dashboard controls. You're going to be able to change all the parameters of this device here directly on your dashboard with the factory interface by using the audio tab in the menus. Now, in that audio tab, it's going to be able to give you guys 8 parameters to change up. Now, 4 of them are distinctly different, and each one has a subsequent option. The 4 modes you get are stock, economy, tow, and performance. Now, each one has its own mode that turns the MDS or multiple displacement system off if that's something that you kind of don't want. A lot of truck owners don't want the MDS system to be on. It can get a little bit annoying, rob you of a little bit of power. If you're looking to turn that off, each individual mode has that option within it. Now, stock's pretty self-explanatory, right? Stock mode is going to give you exactly what you'd get from the factory without having to uninstall the device. You could throw it in stock mode and get an OEM driving experience. Economy mode is going to dial back some of the throttle response, and it's going to do a little bit more of a quicker shifting experience to get you guys a little bit better MPGs. Now, it may not be the world of difference, but it definitely can make a little bit of a difference for the guys taking longer road trips, someone who maybe has a longer highway commute to work every single day. That mode is going to be for the guys looking to save a little bit of gas. Next up, you have tow mode. Tow mode is just what it sounds like. It's going to help you when you're in tow haul mode. When you throw your truck in its factory tow haul mode, you can now switch on the settings in the audio display menu inside of the factory dashboard. It's going to give you a little bit more access to torque in every gear. It's going to focus a little bit more heavily on the higher gears, and it's going to hold gears a little bit longer for you as well. It's going to give your truck just a little bit more power to handle that heavier load. Now, of course, that also has MDS mode, which again goes without saying, it turns the multiple displacement system off. Finally, the highest mode, the mode that we tested on the dyno, is Performance MDS, or Performance Mode. Performance Mode is gonna give you all-out throttle response increases. The pedal itself is gonna feel a little bit more sensitive. It's removing the delay in time between hitting your pedal and your throttle body opening up, getting your truck going off the line. It's gonna feel a lot more awake while putting a little bit more horsepower and torque to the rear wheels, which you saw at our dyno graph. So if you're looking for all-out performance, the Performance Mode is definitely gonna be the way to go. It adjusts things like timing, spark, it's gonna make adjustments to your fan, it's gonna make adjustments to your throttle booster and your pedal accelerator response time, things of that nature. The only parameter it's not gonna alter, because it's an inline module, is your fuel. So with that said, if you're looking for a farther customization experience, you might want to check out some of the custom handheld tuners. This guy being an inline kind of canned tune right out of the box, it's not going to adjust things like fuel. Price tag for this guy is going to come in right around 550 bucks. Install, I'm going to give 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. It's an easy install under the hood, but it's going to take maybe 30 minutes to an hour from start to finish in terms of the entire process, especially when it comes to learning the ticks of how to actually control all of the device features. When it comes to installing and using the device itself, you're gonna use all of your steering wheel controls. Like I said, it's gonna take over the dashboard where the factory display is between your gauges inside of the audio menu. So in order to navigate the menu itself and make changes to the mode you're using, you're gonna use the arrows on the left side of your steering wheel, and more importantly, the cruise control buttons. Your set plus and set minus buttons are gonna be your changing options, and your cancel button is gonna help you set up those menus. I'm gonna show you guys what that looks like in just a second. So what do you say we get to it? Tools used in the install include an impact gun or a ratchet, an extension, 8 and 10 millimeter deep sockets. The first recommended step is to disconnect the negative cable on your battery. I've already taken care of that. That's just a 10 millimeter nut. Once you have that disconnected, you're gonna disconnect the 2 master harnesses on your ECU on the side of your battery on the driver's side. You're basically gonna lift up on these red locking tabs and then pull that straight off. Do the same thing for both of them. Now there are 3 8 millimeter bolts holding this guy on. 1, 2, and the bottom left is a 3rd. Get those off. At this point, we can pull that guy completely out. Now we have it on the table, the factory ECU. The Edge Pulsar unit has 2 connectors on the back that basically have to seat onto the top of the factory ECU. You can see those connectors line up. There are 2 new connectors on the front side here of the Pulsar unit where the 2 factory harnesses will go. So you want to put it on a flat surface, set this guy on top to line up the connectors. Once you feel that start to drop in, you're going to push until you hear a click on both sides. All right, so now that that's seated, we can take the new bolts included in the kit that are longer than the factory ones to extend and compensate for that new material, and we can bolt it back up into the factory spot. All right, so at this point, we can take that whole new assembly, set it back into the factory location, and use the bolts included in the kit to bolt it down. You want to make sure you have a washer over the bolt head side. I'm just going to thread them in by hand, a couple of threads to hold it in place while I do all 3. Now this top one here for us did have a ground strap on it, so you want to make sure you're putting that back if yours does as well. All right, from here you can grab the Allen key in the kit and tighten all 3 of those bolts down. All right, I'm switching over to a 5/32 hex socket to make life a little easier here. All right, from there we can plug in our factory harnesses. All right, now we can put our negative terminal back on our battery. Next up, because there is no actual tuning module that you're going to hold in your hand, you're just going to turn the ignition to the run position but not start your engine. All the display options are now going to be on your dashboard. Now the dashboard display here is going to give you the ability to change between 8 different levels of power modes, along with the options to change things like tire size and axle ratio. Now we're not going to be talking about axle ratio in this video, but I'm going to show you guys how to activate all of the features here and change your tire size to correct your speedometer for the larger tires. So let's jump right into it. The first step here is to actually activate the display on your dashboard here. So in order to do that, what you're going to do is cycle through to your screen setup and press OK. Using the arrows on your steering wheel, go up to center and then audio, and it'll say setting saved. It uses the audio function, the audio menu, in order to give you the display options. So once you have audio selected and it says saved, you can toggle using these cruise control buttons on the right side of your steering wheel. So you'll hold cancel, and you can see it says performance MDF off on the top. And you can cycle through that, and you see it keeps changing. So you're going to use the set plus and set minus to change those. To make it a little bit easier on you, I'm going to go back to the main menu to the audio section, and it gives you a little bit of a bigger display. And now you can press set up, stock MDS off, economy MDS off, tow MDS off, performance, and performance MDS off. Those are your 8 menu options. And if you hit it again, it goes back to stock. So you have the ability to use your stock function. Now, with those 8 modes, there are different uses, of course. So stock and stock MDS off. MDS is basically the multiple displacement system, so you can turn the displacement changing off if you want to keep it in V8. So that's an option there. If you scroll up, economy, of course, is going to put a little bit less throttle response in place so that you can save a little bit more on fuel. So if you're taking longer road trips, that's the display mode you want to be in. And of course, as I'm talking, I'm selecting the modes, and after a couple of seconds, it goes away, but that mode does stay active. So if you just wanted to see what that was, you can hit the cancel button and it can pop right back up and show you guys what that display is. Now, MDS off, of course, being the multiple displacement system turning off, so you have each mode and then each mode with that system turned off. So really there's 4 modes and each one has a subsequent mode. Going up again, there's tow. It's going to put a little bit more torque in each of the gears. You can hold the gears a little bit longer in tow mode to help, of course, with towing and hauling. And then, of course, you have the MDS off, which I mentioned already. And then finally, there's performance, which gives you all-out throttle response control. Going to give you a better acceleration, a little bit more power and torque in each gear. It's going to hold it a little bit longer, more of a sport mode. And then, of course, that same thing with MDS off. So those are your 8 modes. Of course, dynoing, we're going to be focusing on performance MDS off. I'm going to leave that on. That's power mode number 8. That's going to be the highest setting. Next, what I want to do is show you guys how to change your tire size. That is something that can affect your speedometer. The larger your tire size, the more inaccurate your speedometer is going to be. So you want to account for that to change the speedo calibration. So we have about 32 1/3 are the diameter of our tires. So I'm going to use that as our starting point. In order to change that, what you're going to do is press and hold the cancel button for about 5 seconds. The display is going to change to tire size N. N is no. In order to change no to yes, you're going to press your gas pedal all the way down to the floor and it changes to yes, but you want to hold the gas pedal on the floor. If you let go, it goes back to no. So it's kind of the system where you're selecting yes and no. In order to change a yes to a no, you hold the gas pedal down. Once you have this selected with your gas pedal all the way on the floor, press set plus to select yes. Now that we're at the size screen, we want to select our unit of measurement. There's metric, and if you put your gas pedal all the way to the floor, it changes to English. I'm going to use English here. Set plus is what is the select button. Again, we're using our gas pedal to make our selections, but this time it's a little bit different. Each angle that your gas pedal is at. So if you press it a little bit, it changes to 30, a little bit more, changes to 40, and then all the way to the floor, it changes to 50. So you want to kind of angle it where you want it to be, depending on tire size. So we're in our tire size is in the 30s, so I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on that and hit set plus when it gets to 30, and then it's going to change to the middle number, of course, and we can use the gas pedal again at certain angles of pressure to change that. Now again, like I said, we're at 32 1/3-ish, so go down to 32, press that, so 32.3. All right, and that is our tire size. Select that, and now it asks if you want to change axle ratio. So tire size is set. It's a little bit complicated at first, but once you get the hang of how much pressure to put on the pedal to select the right number. You start to get the hang of it, and it gets easier to understand and easier to use over time. And of course, setting tire size isn't something that most people do more than once. Once you put new tires on, you typically keep it there unless you upgrade to a bigger wheel and tire set. Now, we don't want to worry about axle ratio. All right, you can hit your cruise control button twice and it takes you right back to the main menu. We corrected our tire size. Again, we're not changing axle ratio. If that's something you want to change, the option is there. And we've already selected our performance mode. I'm going to go back up to Performance MDS off. That's going to be the mode that we're keeping it in. And there you have it. That's going to wrap up my review and install for the Edge Pulsar inline tuning module, available for the 19 5.7 liter Hemi Ram 1500s. It's really easy to use. You can get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.